Hey folks, Cody here, former student of ETSU's Bluegrass program. In this lesson, I'm going to talk and discuss ways to reduce the amount of mistakes that you're making when you're playing bluegrass solos or fiddle tunes, and I've got a real life example of how I've changed a tune versus the way that I've learned it, at least, to make it way easier on myself. That way I don't get embarrassed if I'm at a jam or if I'm playing this song live in any setting, making it easier to play. Today's focus is on a tune called The Red-Haired Boy. If you're not familiar with it, it's one of those beginner-friendly tunes that honestly there's like 1,000 different variations of it because it's got its roots in like Ireland ages ago, and bluegrassers today play it. You know, it's one of the first tunes that you learn, and I first learned it about 20 years ago, and no joke, there's a part of this song, I just played it, that still to this day throws me off. So we're going to talk about how to fix that. All right, so if you're unfamiliar with the fiddle tune, follows an AABB fiddle tune pattern. What that means is there's an A part and there's a B part. The melodies are different, and you play the melody to the A part 2 times, hence the name AA, and then the B part follows, you play that twice, BB, until you go and repeat the whole thing. And so when you're watching players play a tune in a bluegrass circle or on the internet, that's what they're doing, right? So let's just focus on the A part today. It's the part that's highlighted there on your screen. So the melody, at least the way that I learned it, going nice and slow. And it's that lick right there, and you can see my face, it's still hard. That has just given me headaches for literally as long as I can remember. So generally what happens is just there's a note or two that just throws off my timing. And when I'm trying to play 4 to 6 repetitions of this live without any, backing track or a band, I have to really focus on not doing that. So over the years, I've adapted this song in order to just make it easier. So this is the lick that haunts me in my sleep, along with the B part to Wheelhouse, but we'll get there eventually. And yeah, I don't know what it is about that one, but it just is hard to play. This is what I'm playing differently, all right? Just quickly through the first repetition here. Right? So the difference is I'm going from this lick to this lick. And to me, the second one is just way easier, and it also has more of a bluesy feel because I am throwing a blue note in there, that flat 7, which if we're in the G position, one of those notes is going to be on the first fret of your high E string relative to the capo there. Billy Strings, in an interview with Rick Beato, said something that every person that's trying to learn this style of music needs to hear. He says something along the lines of, every bit of bluegrass music can be played in the first handful of frets if you want it to. And that is beyond true. You don't have to go up and down the neck. When I'm doing this live, especially if I'm playing solo, that's a ticket to make mistakes and to make things way harder on me for the night. I'll say that most of the time I'm performing as background music. That's where the money's at, honestly. And so I'm not trying to be going crazy because, again, it doesn't really matter. Folks are conversing, they're eating, and I'm just there to provide entertainment. I'm trying to get through the gig without feeling like bad about my performance, so I'm okay to do this sort of thing. But just like Billy says, everything can happen around these frets that you see right here. And quite frankly, for me, I'm not the type of musician that obsesses over playing the hardest break. I'd rather just be able to play the tune cleanly, get through it, stay true to it, and that for me makes me really happy and feeling accomplished. But when I went to find different variations of the tune, there's just so many different ways you can approach it. And here's probably the way that stays the truest to the melody that I just learned like an hour ago. But it goes. Okay, might not would have been perfect. But again, you're going from this lick here that, you know, might throw you off. I don't know if you're like me, or maybe you learn faster, to just kind of that melody really shapes itself on that 3rd fret of your high E string, all right? So again, the 3 options to this part of the tune, and actually this repeats itself in the B part too, which we didn't get to today, are these, all right? So the first option, the original way that I learned this, okay? Second option, and then the 3rd option, if I can remember it. All right, so there's options here. And the thing is, if, you know, as you get better and you realize that most players mix and match these, what you can do when you go to play the tune, if you're playing it live like me, is you might try 2 of the variations and still leave out that 3rd one. That way, your repetitions, they sound different. It probably would make me feel better as a performer to just throw in some different, you know, approaches there. But at the end of the day, you know, if I'm being honest, if I'm playing this exactly the same 10 times through in front of an audience, nobody's going to care. And this is more of like an internal thing, because I'm going, oh man, I need to throw in a fancy lick here. I need to make it more interesting, when really it's already interesting enough. And so I think a lot of us, we might get into this mindset of watching folks online play crazy licks up and down the neck. We think, oh, I've got to do that, but I can't because that's going to take a while. I'll never be able to learn. Nah, it's more fun for me, as I said, to play the easier one, play it right, than it is to, you know, worry and stress over learning that Tony Rice lick or what have you. A lot of folks that I talk to will say the same things. Not even talking about bluegrass songs, but just riffs or parts of a song in general, where it's like they can't get past that part. And the approach that I take here is like, if you can't get past it, if it's hard, find a different way around it. Folks, if you've been wanting to play bluegrass guitar, maybe you've been trying for years. A lot of folks that I talk to have been playing for like 10, 20 years, but they don't have the bluegrass sound down yet. I have a simple, easy to follow plan that helps you learn this style of music. It's called Flatpick Foundations. These are testimonials from folks inside the program. I'm not going to bore you here with a pitch that's going to just be me talking hot air. Here are testimonials from folks. This gentleman says that he's been playing for a while. He considers himself an intermediate player, and he's learning new things every day. I found these testimonials on Reddit, didn't ask for them, and folks are really saying great things about the program, saying it's well worth the price, and there's tons and tons of value and things to learn inside of the program. So check it out down below, Flatpick Foundations, or go to www.codymmusic.com to learn more about the program. That's www.codymmusic.com. Let me know what you thought of this lesson down below. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.